Hey guys, I'm outside at the moment, so if you can hear some like birds and stuff making noises, that's all that is. I wanted to make a video today about something that I think is really important and that actually doesn't get talked about enough, and that is fighting with your parents, arguments with your parents and with other family members when you are in the midst of an eating disorder, recovering from an eating disorder, consider yourself recovered from an eating disorder, kind of, in remission, whatever. So just having had experience with any kind of disordered eating behaviours, because I know for a fact that I have had the worst, not just some of the worst, but the worst arguments that I've ever had with my parents because of my eating disorder, because of anorexia. I have said things, and both my parents have said things that would never have been said had it not been for the eating disorder's impact in my life. In my darkest days, I wish that there had been someone to tell me that it happens, that people have horrific arguments, and like I'm not just talking about like, yelling at each other. Seriously harmful and painful, emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting, like draining arguments where like your whole body is just tired because of the effort it took to say these awful things, to scream them, the physical effort and the emotional and mental effort that it took as well. Basically, I wanted to make this video just with a few points in mind, but also with the bigger purpose of like reassuring people that this does happen, that horrific arguments are had when you have an eating disorder. It's not just you, it's not just your parents saying these things. There are many people suffering the same way that you are. You're not alone. The thing about an eating disorder is that it destroys relationships. One of its goals is to drive massive barriers through your strongest relationships, to drive people away from you so that it will seem like, no one's there, and that you need to continue with this eating disorder because it is the only thing that you have. That's one of its aims, is to drive people away from you and to drive you more into yourself. Firstly, I just wanted to talk about the fact that often the person recovering believes that they are in a better place than they are, or they have the mindset that because I'm eating, I'm doing well. It was true for myself for a very long time. In fact, only recently have I moved out of this kind of stage. And this is a starter and a motivation behind so many arguments. The amount of times I fought with my parents because what I thought I was doing was enough, but in their eyes and, in reality, it wasn't enough. The fact is that yes, you can have 3 meals a day and you can have 3 snacks a day and you can do what you're supposed to do and you can believe that you're fighting your eating disorder. But if those meals and snacks aren't calorie dense enough, if they're not showing anyone that you have freedom with food, if they're meticulously planned, if they're the same every single day, if they're very low in calories like carrot sticks or salads and stuff like that, that's not recovering. The belief that so many people have is that just because you are eating, just because you're having more than you once were, just because you're not starving yourself anymore day in, day out, means that you're getting better, and that this means that everyone around you should be really proud of you all the time. And you're going to be very let down because that's not the case. The case is that you have to prove, if you truly are recovering and you truly do believe that you have to prove that you are finding freedom with food and that you are letting go of a lot of the rules to do with food in your head, not just really intense ones like, don't eat for 8 hours or 12 hours, not just ones like that, ones like licking your fingers when you're cooking, or having a little bite of something when it's at the table. These kind of things are really important. You can have as many planned out meals and snacks a day as you like, but unless it can be shown to those around you that you are finding yourself again without this eating disorder, no one is actually going to believe in your recovery, and you're not doing yourself any favours either. You're not doing yourself or the people that you don't want to be arguing with any favours. It's just going to cause arguments. Look at it like this. If you think about someone that you love, someone that you that you absolutely adore and respect and you couldn't do without. Try and imagine yourself being happy and content with them only being at 50% health. That's how your parents especially are viewing you when you're in quasi-recovery and you're not actually doing it. You're just doing recovery because that's what you've been told to do. That's what you want to do, either to escape like medical intervention like hospitalization, or to get people off your back, or to stop having to go to counseling. The fact is that you are only at 30 or 50 or 20% health. You're not at full health, and you think about someone that you adore and you can't imagine actually being happy with them at a level of health that means they're not thriving, they're not flourishing to their full potential. Only being at 50% health means that they can't do all these amazing things that you probably love them for. They can't be the best person that they want to be, and that is how people are viewing you when you're staying with an eating disorder and doing what you can to hold on to it, but doing enough of recovery to show people that it's actually happening. It's not, and this causes so many arguments. I cannot count the amount of times I have argued with my parents because I am recovering, because I am eating, mum, I am doing this. You should be proud of me. I'm not starving myself. No, you're not starving yourself, but perhaps you're not the worst you've ever been. Perhaps you're not as sick as you once were, but why is that a reason for people to let go of the reins? That's not anything. That'd be like saying to someone with cancer, oh, well, we've removed most of the tumour, but we're going to let the rest of it grow back. Like, we're going to just hang around here and be really proud and really happy with you for making the leaps and bounds that you have, but we'll just leave this bit of tumour here so that, the possibility is that it could grow over completely again. It's really important that you embrace recovery and that you prove to the people that you love that you are probably doing it. That's all they want to see. They want to see the child that they brought into this world with love and wonderment. They want to see that baby flourishing and being at 100%, not at a level of a health where it's quite possible that they'll never actually move anywhere, that they'll just sit very stagnant, which is a place that I was in for a very, very long time, and that caused huge arguments with my parents. I also want to talk about something that probably you've heard before and that is quite well known. Rage and anger is the result of fear, because people fear what they don't understand, and that is the biggest thing that you have to remember when you're being screamed at by your parents. I've been told to just go and starve myself then. When it gets to the crux of the argument, I've been told, oh, well, whatever, Grace, I don't care, just go and starve yourself. And that might sound horrific, but that is coming from a place of such love and compassion. Ironically, it sounds, because whoever said that to me didn't know what else to say. And it comes from a place of just absolute bewilderment that someone you love so much could be killing themselves. As I said before, people don't want to see the people they love at 50% health, because there is just as much of a chance that they're going to decline to 0% health and die as that they will, go on to 100% health. And really, there's more of a chance that they will decline than that they will flourish, because health is hard work. You've got to work at it. You've got to work at your physical and mental health. So if you're only at 50% to begin with, there's a huge chance that you're going to decline. And the fact is that when you're having screaming matches with your parents or whoever it is, that is coming from a place of them literally saying to you, I don't know what to do. They're saying, I don't understand. I don't know how to help you. I've been told more times than I can remember that my parents are over me, that I need to move out, I don't care anymore. But this comes from a place of absolute fear for my health and fear for them and fear for me, because essentially the positive things that they've tried to say obviously haven't worked, and they resort to a place of complete emotion, just raw emotion. And the easiest emotion that it is to extend upon someone is anger. It's so easy to get angry at things. It's so easy to yell and to scream. It's so much easier to do any of that than to smile and to forgive or to even cry. It's easier to get angry at someone because you don't know how to help them. Think about something that you have wanted to work so badly, and you've worked at it and worked at it and worked at it, and it still failed you. Your first response is of anger. It's not of, oh well, it's gonna be okay, I'll keep trying and I'll keep pushing forward. Now, these arguments with your parents, they've been to a place of, oh well, I'll keep trying, I'll keep pushing forward, and that hasn't worked, and so they're resorting to their first and foremost emotion of anger. Rage is a representation of raw emotion and sadness and fear and just unknown. Your parents are saying what they're saying out of frustration. I just wanted to make this video to reassure you that I would say all things that are said in these arguments aren't meant because your parents are not fighting with you, and it's not you that is fighting back with your parents. It is your eating disorder, and again, let's remember that it wants you dead. It wants to separate you from all the relationships that you have. It wants you to be alone, to feel like it's what you need in your life. It is telling you that these people around you, that these beautiful, your mother and your father and your siblings and your aunties and your uncles and your cousins, it's telling you that they're all doing the bad thing, and of course you're going to respond with anger because you don't know what to say to that. Your eating disorder is telling you that the people you've trusted and loved for the last 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years are now against you. You're going to turn with fear, and that's going to show itself as anger because you're just as confused by the eating disorder as everyone else is. I just think that it's really necessary that people know, and that you, if you're recovering, you understand that it's not just you. If you've been told to kill yourself by your parents, you're not alone, and it also, do not take it to heart because it's not true. Those responses are coming from a place of sheer fear for you. Imagine watching the baby that you brought into this world trying to kill herself. Imagine watching that. Imagine all the effort and love that you've put into raising someone being obliterated because that person has decided that they're not worth it in the world. At first you're going to respond with shock, and then you're going to respond with fear and frustration and this amazingly intense question of what to do. You don't know what to do. They can't physically stop you from doing anything, and that's scary, and we respond with anger to fear. So I think it's important that you understand this, and that the next time you go to fight with your parents, the next time you go to refuse your food and they tell you to move out and to just starve yourself, then that comes from a place of them saying, we don't know what to do. Yeah, she's refusing this meal. Perhaps it is just one meal, and perhaps your eating disorder is telling you, oh, it'll just be this one meal. We just need to prove that we can still do it. But your parents are saying, this is just one meal maybe, but this represents the whole life of my daughter. This represents what might happen if we let go. If she's refusing this food from us, there's physically nothing that we can do to stop her, and this is how her whole life's going to be until she's refusing everything, until she's dead. And that's scary. People don't want to see the people they love fall away from them. So I hope this has given a little bit of clarity for anyone who's been struggling with their parents and fighting with their parents. It's all comes from a place of anger, as it does when you're fighting with your parents from the eating disorders point of view, and you'll understand that as you progress further and further in recovery. You'll understand that when you fight with your eating disorder, it's a different kind of fight than when you're fighting from yourself. When you're fighting from the eating disorder, when the eating disorder is fighting, there is no real clarity. The anger just builds up and up and up and doesn't seem to be resolved. The tension just continues because everything the eating disorder is telling you is a lie. Everything that's coming out of your mouth doesn't make sense. You are manipulative and you're bitchy and you're just cruel, and your parents will fight back with cruelness too because they don't know what to say to that. They haven't raised you to be that person. So please don't feel alone. Please don't feel like your parents hate you. Please don't feel like you do need to move out, or that they actually mean it when they tell you that they don't care, because they do care. They care so much that they are willing to have these screaming matches to try and get you to see that what you're doing is terrible. If they really didn't care, they would just let you go, and they wouldn't try and argue back with you when you try and refuse food, or when you make a claim about yourself that's completely untrue. Act on an eating disorder instinct rather than yourself, and try and hide food, throw away food. So just know that it's not just you. These horrible things are happening for people recovering everywhere, and I hope that you keep smiling and keep eating well, keep nourishing yourself, keep nourishing your mind, and I'll see you next time.